Brandon, I've learned the world is not as big as I once thought, and by that I mean I have you find out people that are from near where you are from all the time it seems, or you run into someone at the store and you're like, I didn't know you were here. And I think our next guest knows where I'm from, which if you know where I'm from in West Virginia, that's saying something. And I'm excited to introduce him. And Brandon, he doesn't know where you're from, but you know you're from Barberville. Did I say that right?
Yeah, yeah. There's
Yeah,
also a Barbersville where you're from, but it with an
that is
S.
true. Yeah, right next to Hurricane. That is not that is said and spelled totally different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
That's
I know
good.
we're in for a treat. We've got three pours tonight that I'm very excited to try. And while they are based in Atlanta, they have a lot of connections to Kentucky as well. And we'll get into all that as we welcome in the co-founder and master blender at Short Barrel, Clinton Dugan.
Excited to be here.
Welcome. Glad to have you.
Let's drink some bourbon.
I'm in.
Well, you guys are
I'm
drinking
in.
bourbon.
I'm in.
I was gonna say I loved it at the beginning. So if you see Clinton and didn't look like he's drinking, he's been working all day, so he's detoxing now, so he can get up early to take his kid to daycare, like a good dad should do. But we're gonna kick it off with the Short Barrel Four Grain. You got that pretty bottle, Brandon?
I do. I do. I love your guys' bottle. I love that it's kind of that short, kind of squatty
So
bottle.
yeah, so it's a funny one. When we started the brand, and I know we're gonna talk about 4 grain, and this will kind of lead into it.
Yeah.
Starting a brand during COVID was the hardest thing you could ever try to do because glass doesn't exist, whiskey barely exists, we all barely exist, and it's one of those things where it's off the shelf glass. A couple other brands have used it, and we now buy containers and truckloads at a time. So it's kind of custom because no one else can buy it, but it is definitely our little short barrel glass. We've looked
Yeah.
at custom, we probably will, but
Yeah.
we've grown such an identity in that glass. Last thing we want to do is look. I'm gonna say something, and they're all my friends. I don't want to pull a Bardstown and change a label on everybody, and all of a sudden the
Right.
PR people go nuts and bad
Yeah.
things happen because I'm a team of one. I can't handle that.
Right. Yeah. I like it. I think I like the bottom of it too. How it's kind of got those edges on it where it's kind of really easy to grab a hold of. But
It's interesting. Even though it's a stock glass, it's basically meant for pouring. As a bartender, we've talked about a lot of bartenders. You can actually pick it up and pour it. It's got a nice grip on the bottom.
yeah, that's
So
what
it
I
is cool
like
glass.
about it.
We're sticking with it for quite a while. We just bought, I think, 7 truckloads of it or something like that. Something crazy. So yeah, there's a lot of glass.
Yeah.
That's a lot
Well,
of
four
glass.
grain.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Bourbon.
Well, I mean, I love that because you get to know some things, and Brandon and I talk about this not a ton because most bottles nowadays are smart enough to know you got to have the bartender's friend. A few of them though are not, and when I can't even pour my own drink as on a show that says something. But
Yeah, I'm big in tequila, so I look at a lot of different glass and like other stuff on the tequila side. So I'm always staring at different tequila. But 4 grain, let's because I can talk all day about glass and
Yeah.
logistics and all that other fun stuff. So I'll
we
pretend
get
like we're not.
sidetracked. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, so 4 grain's kind of our new baby. We wanted a very everyday, approachable bourbon that was under $40 from an NDP, carries an age statement. It's actually the 4 years going to go away. It's all 5 now because that's the cool thing about bourbon is it gets older every single day. Took us 8 months to develop, so really wanted. We didn't want to be another sourced 4 grain. Look, we could have went out and bought it. There's plenty of people that are making it. There's plenty of people using a 4 grain. We set ourselves up for not a disaster, but something that took much longer. It took about 8 months to develop this. We were able to buy some wilderness trail weeded bourbon early on. We have a lot of Green River in our portfolio, which I'm sure we'll talk about that later on too. And one day we were messing around and we were just sitting there playing. I was like, well, we want a weeded bourbon, but we just don't want another weeded mash bill. We just don't want to be like, here was some wilderness trail weeded bourbon. It's already on the shelf, but buy ours because we're from an NDP. And we sat there and played and we went 50-50. And I'm talking to my assistant blender, Sam. I'm like, this thing has something, even at 50-50. The rye's a little unbalanced, but there's some wheat there. So we played around, and eventually we got it to where it's about 16 barrels of Wilderness Trail to about 4 barrels of Green River, which Green River adds the rye, which makes it the 4th grain. And we let it sit in stainless steel and played around, and we developed this 4 grain custom mash bill that no one's ever had under $40. And for what it is, it's not meant to be what it's not. It's meant to be an everyday shelf pour, something completely different because you're like, okay, it's sweet, but then there's a little bit of spice from the rye. So it's one of those things where we've done very well with it, but it's like people are like, it's a bourbon drinker's everyday bourbon that doesn't fall flat. Like, and that's the cool part because the rye just kind of lingers around and hangs out. And you just don't think of basically having a wheated mash bill with a rye backbone that just kind of works.
Yeah, it's unique. It's almost got like a little funk on the finish. Like you're kind of confused a little because it's like, wait a minute, what is it trying to be? And not in a bad way, but like you said, because it's got that rye that comes in, or for me, maybe the wheat that comes back in on the back end.
Well, the interesting part about, and that's exactly what it is too. That's a lot of southern aging. We do get a lot of funk in our aging because we do stay. I mean, we have very similar aging to Kentucky. We just stay a little bit hotter. We get hotter and we stay a little bit hotter. But we have 4 seasons. I've seen snow, ice, and everything else in Atlanta. It's pollen season right now, so it's going crazy out there. But that's one thing that I love about Georgia. I think people get confused of, oh, it's Georgia, it's always hot. You don't have any. You're like Texas, you don't have any seasons. It's like, no, I get every single season I can humanly have. Now, if you go, hours south of Atlanta or down near America's where 13th colony is, that's a completely different environment.
Yep.
Well, we're getting 20-degree mornings and we're getting 100-degree afternoons in the summer, so we're getting full swings, and our barrels look like it is too, which is really cool. And we're in a 10,000 square foot warehouse, soon to be 15,000 square feet. A lot of our stuff is 5-6 racks high or palleted high, so we're getting full airflow every single day that we can. We are opening those back doors and letting the air flow and do its thing, and it's awesome. But the four grain is exactly what we wanted it to do, was just be approachable, easy. And under $40. It's been a nice little gateway. A lot of people give us feedback too, and we listen to everything. I've always wanted to try your brand. $70, $80, $90, $110 for the bee's knees is a stretch sometimes. The 4 grain is a gateway, and I know people that have bought the 4 grain and now have 20 bottles of short barrel in their collection. So it's been pretty cool to have a product that can lead into higher price points and everything too.
Well, at the 92 proof, it's it's got a little more flavor than you think. Like it's as Brandon and I say, maybe punching a little bit above its weight. I mean, it's not anything too crazy, but it's got some flavor there. It's not watered down like an 80 and 85. I feel like.
Yeah, we slow proof on purpose. It's not, we follow Nancy Fraley and everybody's slow proof, and then we proof a lot in barrel too. So we actually make sure things are coming down in barrel. Still have wood contact. We're not trying to just mute it out and mass produce this thing. We're several releases ahead on it right now because we have larger tanks and everything too. But the longer they're able to sit and mingle, the better the releases are. So we're really excited about where this is heading.
Well, one thing I've noticed that after every sip, every single time I nose, I get a different nose on it, which is awesome.
Which is because you're working through 2 different distilleries. It's also, a lot of our stuff we use the same mash bills. We use 70-21-9 for a lot, 95-5, and mash bills that you guys are used to. Everybody's using them and doing stuff too. Or when you nose it and taste it, it is new, but it's also not like a young corn forward. We tried many different things in many different ages, and I was even worried at 4. But wheat works at 4. Wheat works at 5.
Yep.
Wheat really works at 6. So, I think you guys probably have batch 3 or batch 4 off the shelf. The first one was a little youthful. I'll be 1,000% honest, it was a little youthful. But as it continues to progress and age in our warehouse, we have 88 of these wheated barrels, and we have more Green River that I can count right now in the warehouse. So they're always going to be aging and doing this thing. So I actually feel this release is going to get better and better as it goes. And we're not going to change any pricing. It's going to be $40 regardless of what it is. We bought these barrels when they were 1 year and 2 years old, so we have quite a bit in our portfolio.
Well, I can tell you that you've nailed it on this one because, like you said, you nailed the everyday drinker. Like we like to say, this is that Monday, Tuesday drinker bourbon. You come home from a long day, whatever. But you can drink this any day of the week because it's like, hey, it's $40, and it carries a really depth, complex of flavors to it, and that comes from all those grains that you talked about, the 4 grain. But again, it doesn't drink at a 92 proof, so I know a lot of people maybe got to get scared off of it because, for me, for an example, like I love the barrel proof, the higher proof, the cask strength stuff. That's probably my favorite, but again, this doesn't drink at 92 proof. To me, this drinks at that like 95, 97, 98
It's
maybe.
the rye, and
It
that's
is definitely
something
the
that we
rye.
really did want to focus on. It's the rye, so it
Hmm.
reminds you that it's still a bourbon. It is
Yep,
definitely still a
it's
bourbon. And
there.
it doesn't fall out. Now, if you go buy a bottle of Wilderness Trail, they make fantastic stuff. But if you proof it
Yep.
down to 92, it's going to mute itself out. There's nothing
Mhm.
really. There's no real backbone to let it come through, and that's what
Correct.
we it was shining. And the rye wanted to dominate the whole time, and we were working on the blend.
Mhm.
There'd be so many times we think we nailed it, and it would sit there in either a 750 or some stainless for a while, and that rye just wanted to overtake, and that's why the wheat is so high compared to the rye. And
Mhm.
look how much little rye is in there, and how much you still get. So that was a real challenge of ours to actually make sure it still showed like the rye was still there, or the wheat was still there without the rye being so polarizing.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
No,
that's probably
it's
why you and I like it, Brandon.
yeah, I agree
we, we
because of the
we love a
rye.
good
Yeah,
rye.
yeah. But it's
Yeah.
just so like I said, the depth of flavor in it is just it's it's really really good. Like especially for that $40 price point, 92 proof. You would never think it's 92. But
Yeah, and,
but
and,
yeah,
and it's Kentucky and it's something new. I think
yeah.
that's the big thing that you'll hear me harp on if you ever see me out talking about it. It's like we're all whiskey nerds at heart. I'm a whiskey nerd at heart.
Mhm.
And it's knowing that it's a mash bill that we custom created. We didn't distill it, but we created it. It's still the coolest thing is because you can go any shelf right now in the world and that mash bill doesn't exist unless it says short barrel, and that's the really cool
Yeah.
part about it.
Well, speaking of whiskey nerds, tell us, I guess there must be bourbon in the water in West Virginia, especially with you two. But how did you tell us about your story? How did you get into bourbon? How did you land at Short Barrel? Tell us a little bit about your journey through all that.
Yeah, so I have an interesting background. A lot of
Mhm.
bourbon in college, but I drank really high end bourbon. I didn't realize at the time.
Yeah.
I had a fraternity brother that they're very wealthy in the Columbus area, own a professional team and other stuff. So he was drinking Pappy 20 like it was nothing. It was like so I didn't know what I was drinking. I was like, oh, this is really cool. He would go out and buy things.
Yeah.
So bourbon came. I graduated in college in '09. Bourbon budgets weren't really there when you're living back with your parents after
No.
college. It
No.
really wasn't until I moved back to Atlanta. I had the weird bottle service days in between there when I thought I was rich.
Yeah.
Um, you know, all those fun things. I moved back to Atlanta, and it was actually interesting. My wife and I live near a Costco down here, and they have a liquor store.
Mhm.
And when Willet Pot Still was still really good, and it was single barrel, she was like, "This bottle's really cool." This is what 2012. We bought it, and I just fell in love with it. And it was something we would come home, drink, and I just went down the rabbit hole of researching bourbon, all these local things. There wasn't really many local distilleries, but I started going to some meetups. I joined Atlanta Bourbon Society that maybe had 100 people in it in 2013. That's how I met everybody. I moved here blind. So bourbon was basically my gateway to meet a lot of people, network and everything too. And then 2015 rolled around. I met Adam. He was basically doing store picks for our buddy's store and invited me to a store pick. So the original short barrel pick had some legends in it. Dixon Deadman was in there, a bunch of other Kentucky guys, and invited me. And I was like, this is really cool. We get to go travel to Kentucky, spend our friends' money, buy 20 barrels of whiskey, take them home, and get really good deals on whiskey at home. And then we did that for 4 years. 2020 rolled around. We were actually on a barrel picking trip. Sunday fun day. Got to downtown Louisville a little early. Way too much fun. Met a barrel broker. Drunkenly bought 6 barrels of whiskey and started Short Barrel of the brand on a Sunday fun day. Um, that's exactly how it happened.
I
So
mean,
I have a marketing
that's
back.
pretty awesome.
I'm a marketer by trade.
Yeah.
I knew nothing about blending whiskey until about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I knew some things worked and things didn't work, and you play at home, but
Yeah.
that's really how it worked. We navigated COVID successfully. We were putting out things because you couldn't get whiskey. I mean, my gosh, we'll talk about the toasted, but the first toasted product was a 3-year-old whiskey. It's all we could get,
Mhm.
and we were buying light whiskey. We were just trying to keep the brand going. We bought those six barrels. They were Barton High Rye, 6.5 year, before everything just exploded. And then by the time we launched, because got to launch a brand, it takes 9 months. We thought we could just do it overnight, fill out some paperwork, and all of a sudden you're on the shelves. Knew nothing about distribution, knew nothing about labels, how to be waterproof, could barely get glass, our corks didn't fit, knew nothing about legal. We're just pumping money into this thing. I'm like, what? I'm like, what are we doing? So we launched it. we sold out those first 6 barrels in the first about 3 days at the store that we used to pick through, and we're like, oh crap, we got to find more whiskey. So we found a little bit more, and kind of kept building and going. And now I think we have about 5,000 barrels or something along those lines. Some stuff we've made and sourced in. But I really fell into it. It was just kind of one of those things. Met Adam, and Patrick and I became friends. He worked in downtown Atlanta, close to where I was working at the time. He asked me out to lunch. He was from Texas. We kind of just all vibed, and we have a really good partnership. Adam's background sales, mine's marketing, and Patrick's finance. And we don't really have a spirits background. We bring in multiple different facets to it, to where we like to joke that we're flying the plane as we're building it. But I think that's the best way right now is we're not jaded by old distributor tactics and all these things. We're literally learning as we go, and it's been really fun.
That's awesome.
Wow.
So too long didn't read.
That's
I was
awesome.
hammered on a Sunday fun day and started my whiskey company with 2 of my friends.
Brandon, that
That's awesome.
sounds like something that you would do, and I'm now terrified to ever
Definitely
let
would
you
do
loose
that.
in downtown Louisville.
I would definitely do that.
I don't recommend it. I don't recommend it to anybody right now. The whiskey game is challenging. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
But you
I
all
can
are
imagine.
doing well, and we're gonna get into our next pour here in a second. But a meeting barrel pick in Louisville is kind of how all this happened. How did you settle? Was Short Barrel an easy name to come up with, or did that take a while? Because
so Adam,
that's not easy either. I feel like.
no, the best part we were able to, we actually own the trademark and everything to Short Barrel in the whiskey world, which is crazy. No, Adam is I'm 6'4", Patrick's 6'5", Adam's 5'6". We were barrel picking 2015, his first one. I wasn't there yet, but a guy my size grabbed Adam and said, "Come here, my little Short Barrel," and that was how the brand, that was how the group got its name, and everybody kind of already knew who we were, and that's where the name came from. It also has industry terms, but that's the actual where it came from was Adam's height.
I was gonna say that's not what it says exactly on the website. A Short Barrel.
Well, we were told as we are a growing brand that not everybody wants to hear that story, but I will openly say it.
I mean, I want to hear that story, and I'm glad I did. That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's it's one of those things too. When you kind of get, there's a lot of eyes on us. We get 1 million plus views to a lot of different platforms every single month, and I think it's one of those things where it's fun to say on things like this and laugh about it. But when you're on like a big stage, it's like, oh yeah, we were hammered and we started a whiskey company, and we're named after because Adam's 5'6". It gets some giggles, but sometimes the giggles fall flat.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah,
but I love the story.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
and
that's
then
who
we
you guys
own-
are. That's awesome.
Yeah, and then we own Old Fourth Distillery too, so we have 2 different brands. Actually, I have the hat on. So Old Fourth was Atlanta's first distillery. It was completely shutting down. Actually, it did shut down before we acquired them in 2013 or 2023, but it gave us clear spirit. So we have a vodka and gin and a product called Lawn Dart and a bunch of other stuff. So I'm able to experiment on that side. And that's more of our local brand, but it's got a pretty cool story behind it too that no one can ever take the title. That we own Atlanta's first distillery, which is since Prohibition, which is really fun.
That's cool.
A lot to talk about. And Brandon, how about we go to that second pour? I think you've got it, and that is the Toasted Small Batch. Is that correct?
Toasted, yeah.
Yep.
That was the that was the
Toasted Small
OG
Batch.
that gave us everything. We look at Short Barrel differently than other NDPs probably look at us. We're not a single barrel company. There's so many fun single barrel companies out there that all they do is want to do single barrels, and that's their shtick and whatever else too. We still think core first. So this was our first product under the core line. The reason it's toasted, to be 1,000% honest with you, like I said, when we started, our whiskey was 3 years old. It was 3-year-old Green River and Bardstown juice. So 3-year-old whiskey, our distributor's sitting there saying, "Hey, it's COVID. Everything's $80 to $100." We're like, it's 3-year-old whiskey. We don't want to be at $80, and all of a sudden we're just, who are these guys? So we worked with Kelvin Cooperage. We still work with them on every single thing that we do. We refurbed some. We got some refurbished toasted barrels from them. They were medium plus toast. We let it run for 6 months, and we'll see what it does. And even at 3, it elevated everything because it aged here in the South. Now the product is through and through a 6-year-old Kentucky bourbon. Same mash bill, 70-21-9, but we use Green River and Bardstown. Everybody's like, oh, they're the same thing. They're not. Barrels age at different situations. Bardstown is like a computer and a robot. Owensboro is very hot and delicious whiskey coming out of Green River. So there's two different things. Our toast is a little bit different. We proof down into barrel, so it goes into a barrel roughly 96 to 100 proof. It sits in those toasted barrels for any minimum of 6 months. It has to hit a heat cycle, so we're always constantly refilling toasted barrels, and that's pretty much what it is. We weren't trying to over toast, so it's a mixture of medium plus toast, not heavy. We didn't want something that was trying to hide behind a toast. We wanted the toast to elevate, unlock a lot of those natural wood sugars, and really just complement the whiskey, not overpower like you can get on some of the toast. I don't like burnt popcorn in whiskey. I think some of the toast get way too heavy or sit in barrel way too long. Or sometimes that heavy toastiness is just because they only sat in barrel for a couple weeks, didn't have a chance to actually go in and out of the wood. So it's something we've learned. The toasted was just an elevated everyday sipper if you wanted something a little bit more, we like to say advanced because of how we do it, but it was just basically the toasted barrels were meant to kind of round out the whiskey portfolio, but not overtake it.
Yeah. So one thing I like about it, well, the bottle anyway, for sure, is that everybody knows that we're big transparency. We're a transparency show.
Yeah.
We love transparency. We like, this bottle, it tells us the age, batch size, mash bill, tells us where the cooperage is from, the toasted time, and the source. And, of course, the batch as well. But we're big proponents of that. I think
batch numbers are moving away just because we're getting tired of handwriting. The batches are getting rather large. But yeah, we'll always, we have distilled a lot of our 70-21-9 for ourselves, but it's a mash bill we will always lean through, and that's just kind of who we are. But we have come a very long way with those barrels, and those are barrels too that we bought when they were 2 and 3 years old. We started using them when they were 3, so now we have a whole bunch of 6, 7, and 8-year-old 70-21-9 barrels that we're really excited about.
So working with,
I think
it's very well done, really good. I'd say it drinks at the proof it is, 94 proof. I don't think it does anything. Definitely doesn't drink below that for me, but that's just super smooth.
That
still packs a ton of flavor. Yeah, the toast is not, like you said, the toast is very, you get a little bit of the smokiness from the toast, but that gives it that depth of flavor that it needs to still pack the punch. It doesn't fall short or flat.
And it's interesting because we've worked with new toasted barrels, which basically hyper toast. But right now we work with refurbished on everything. So every barrel that we dump right now, and it's a lot of whiskey, is usually going back to Kelvin Cooperage. They will refurbish barrels for us. So when I say refurb, even if they're new barrels or stuff that we've dumped recently, they'll take them back. They'll completely scrape the insides out, remove the char, fix any imperfections, and then they'll basically re-toast them for us, and we'll send them back. So we're constantly reusing our barrels. We do that with a lot of our finishing. Our honey and maple always go back to Kelvin after they're dumped. So they kind of get the brulee effect, but they don't.
Right.
But we're always looking for ways to kind of keep our wood in check, and it's really interesting once those barrels are really well seasoned.
What number char do you guys use?
So on my double oak, I goes up to 5. I go up to 5 on my double oak. Those are far and few between. I actually have been more hovering around 1 in heavy toast was interesting, but 3 is my go-to. 3 in light toast are my go-to on most things nowadays.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
I have a little bit more bigger budget now when it comes to buying oak, so I'm able to experiment around with oak and different toast levels. Before we couldn't miss. I have a little bit. It's not a huge budget. But it's been nice to be able to play with different things. And I've became pretty close with a lot of other blenders and much bigger houses and stuff too. And once you're able to kind of hear their stories and their toast levels and things that we think you would like, I'm like, I just want a heavy toast. They're like, you actually don't. You actually want to be around light to medium. Here's your char level, and here's why. So it's really interesting to hear those where our brain tells us one thing, or we think as nerds, I want that flavor profile. Actually, the lighter you go, the more profile you get and stuff, which is pretty cool.
Yep. That's cool. So how did it come to be with working with, the Kentucky distilleries, like you said, like Bardstown, Green River, how did that all kind of play out? And come to fruition. Um,
It didn't. It didn't at first. No one wanted to
yeah,
talk to you when you're a growing brand, and they're just everybody's
right.
writing
Yeah,
contracts for new make and everything. I mean,
yeah.
we worked with brokers forever. You could sit out there and Google buy bourbon barrels, and Ultra Pure and other brokers are going to pop up, and that's the direction we had to go, and we started. And we eventually, I think we started buying so much and doing some different things, and then really popped off when we signed our new make contracts a couple years ago. So we distill at Green River, we distill at Whiskey House and a few other places, and then as the market evolved, meet the right brokers and get the barrels. But now we work mainly with. So we were buying through brokers before because the only way we could buy anything. But now, since the market shifted a little bit, we work directly with distilleries and we work with everyone else, and it's fun. They come to us. The brokers still probably have the best barrels, just because people need to get out of them, and there's a lot on the market right now. But a lot of times the distilleries will meet or beat broker pricing because they all have jobs to do too, and not everybody's just lined up for new make right now.
That makes sense.
Well, and I was gonna say it's part of your tagline, bourbon born in Kentucky, raised in Atlanta, and
Yep.
you guys are coming from Kentucky. Some things the rye I think is MGP, but
For now,
for the
it's
most
about to
part,
change. We'll talk about that.
see, I like it. A little tease for later. So, what is it? I guess to some sense, why did you all decide to do some of that secondary aging down in Georgia too? Because some places will let it set up in wherever it's made until it's needed, call it down, blend it, and send it out. But you guys, like you said, you work on those toasts, you work on different secondary aging things. So why did you guys want to go that route as well?
When we first started, we relied on others to do it for us, and we had batches that came out and they just weren't that good. So we wanted to basically be able to control everything from filling barrels to watching the barrels to really understanding what's going on. We pride ourselves of just not being another place that just slaps a label on it and a big distillery bottles it for you and they fill your totes and whatnot. We're doing everything. We wanted that control and the level of transparency, and it makes my life a lot easier and our warehouse guys a lot easier. We can stare at a barrel, know what's in that barrel, where it's at, not just trying to guess on blends. And blends change, seasons change, barrels change. I mean, right now we're getting 80-degree days and 40-degree nights, so barrels are changing quickly here. And the last thing we ever wanted to do was allow our product to be controlling somewhere else and someone's kind of doing it for us. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, I'm not saying there is. But us, as a growing brand, especially now, a lot more eyes on us. We wanted to be able to control everything, and you lose control if someone else is kind of doing it for you. We don't bottle on site, but when things are going into our totes in stainless, they're only going 10 miles away to bottle. So we are basically not vertically integrated, but we know everything that's touching that from label to everything else is all done locally.
Very nice.
Well, it's tasty. I'll say that.
Very
It's
good.
tasty.
I think it's very good.
Yeah. I mean, it's just hopefully you guys will come see us. But when we bought Old Fourth, we needed space. So when we walked away from our marketing jobs and Patrick walked away from finance, it's like we needed a home. When are we going to sit in an office and not have some whiskey and stuff in there? And I think at last count, I think we bought 1,300 barrels down here in Atlanta, constantly aging anywhere from stuff we've made. I think the oldest stuff we have right now is we have some 21-year-old light whiskey from MGP that's sitting here down here, getting ready to work through, and it makes our life a lot easier when. Today we're working on an orange wine project. I have more stuff coming out of Cycle on orange wine, not VDN, but actual orange wine. And knowing that needs to sit in stainless for 8 weeks, but I want to pull samples of it every 2 days. So if I had stuff stored somewhere else to get samples every 2 days, but my UPS bill would be pretty high. And if it's ready to go, it's ready to go, and I'll be able to make that decision. So, it's come with its challenges. Space is hard. But at least we can make that decision on the fly when things are ready.
Well, and you talked about Old Fourth Distillery there in Atlanta. How did things change for y'all when you acquired that? Because one, yes, now you have two brands, which is fun to handle, but two, you now have a distillery that can make clear products, different products, and I probably had a little more room to do some stuff.
So actually, I had no room, and we sold the stills. No, so it was more of a story of it was a very tiny building in downtown Atlanta. It was 1,400 square feet. The stills
tiny.
actually couldn't make whiskey. They were vodka and gin stills. They were Carl infuser stills. So we looked at it. We looked at the space. They wanted a ridiculous amount of money for a very tiny building. We couldn't even get trucks behind it or anything else. So we made the decision. There's awesome distilleries out there, especially ones here in Georgia that can make the same products on much better equipment for you or alongside of you. So we actually distill offsite here in Georgia, vodka, gin, and everything. But we will never have a distillery. We will never have stills on site. We will never be the brand that's doing that. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but so much capital intensive and like everything else too. It's just not worth it. And we made that decision early on. But yeah, it's vodka stayed vodka, gin stayed gin. The whiskey was actually interesting that we bought. So it was MGP distilled, but 100% aged here in Atlanta. So they were basically bringing in either totes or White Dog and truckers filling the barrels here. So we still have quite a bit of that going through. But the minute we took over, we started distilling a month after we had the Old Fourth brand. So our Georgia distilled stuff turns 3 next month. It's in basically double oak barrels, so charred and toasted. I could probably release it at 3 because it's been sitting in the same spot in a hot warehouse for a while. But we'll wait till it's 4. It's probably actually going to come under the Shortbarrel brand versus the Old Fourth brand. But we're getting very close to stuff we've made releasing soon, which is pretty cool. And vodka and gin keep the lights on, so it definitely helps, which is really cool.
Passive income, love it.
Yeah, it's one of those things too. When this is the funny part about buying a distillery and you've never done anything with vodka and gin. All of a sudden, you have a vodka and gin brand. You're like, oh, what do we do? So, I mean, I'm dead serious. Like, I am being
now you can't talk smack about the vodka and gin. Now you gotta love it.
I'm being as real as a distillery owner and blender can get. Is like all of a sudden you have it. Your distributor's like, okay, well, we're not going to kill this thing. This thing sells really well, and you're in major bars and restaurants, and like, no, we're not going to kill it. But it took about a year to really figure out the identities of both brands. One, a lot of people didn't trust us. We were only doing this for 2 years when we bought Old Fourth Distillery, and people were like, wait a minute, you just basically bought the OG in Atlanta. It's like someone coming and buying Sweetwater, and they're like, oh, these people don't know what they're doing. And
right, yeah.
So we bought it, and we didn't change anything. We haven't gone down the direction of changing, other than the whiskey will change when some stuff comes of age. But people love it. The brand continues to excel every single month. It just keeps continuing to grow and grow. And I think under our watch, it's had some fun. And now I have an airport location, and I have a restaurant and a tasting room and all these other fun things. So it's been cool to watch Atlanta embrace. And when Atlanta embrace some things, it's a really cool way they do it. And we haven't turned our back on it. It's still a local product. It's not going anywhere else other than Atlanta. It's a little in Tennessee, and there's a couple of products down in Florida. But Shortbarrel is kind of our national brand, where Old Fourth is just our hyper local, and that's where it had to go. And it works very well for everybody.
Yeah, I love it. So yeah.
Well, and did you ever think you'd end up owning a restaurant, a bar, an old brand, and a new one?
The airport scares me every day. But it's So luckily it's a licensing agreement, so we don't have to handle people, and like they just have to use some of our product. But it's still our name. It's still Old Fourth Distillery plus Kitchen. If you've read anything about Atlanta in the last week, 9-hour waits and security and like everything else too. But I'm still the one that should be reviews.
But that should be in your favor,
great.
Right?
Well,
the longer you keep people there, the more that they're going to come to your spot.
Think about very pissed off people in the airport drinking and having a bad experience. So
then that's on them. Like, if I'm pissed off at the airport, I'm definitely going to be drinking.
but that's been the big thing. But no, it's been very good.
Yeah.
I will say the highlight was someone left us a review from London and said how good our gin was. I was like, that's pretty good.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
I feel like we recently passed the sniff test there, but like I said, I'm a marketer by trade. I have almost 15 years of digital marketing experience. No, I never would have thought sitting on almost falling off the bar stool back in 2020 that I'd be having conversations like this and brand on a national stage and getting featured in all these different things. I thought I was going to be the guy that just was building websites and having fun in digital and whatnot, and kind of here we are. So I've had
That's
this
awesome.
this bit entrepreneurship will eat you alive. I took a step back from it. I actually quit social media last year for a little while just
Yeah.
because it was becoming pretty intense. But
Yeah.
it's been fun, but it's also every day is something completely new, and I think that's the really fun part about this business and just in general is it's literally something every day is new, whether it's the first time interaction with a customer walking in the tasting room or responding back to a review from the airport. Like it literally, there's literally something. And I don't have my watch on, so I don't feel my phone buzzing, but I'm sure there's something happening over there right now too.
It's fine. It's all fine.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't bother me anymore. Trust me. About
Yeah.
6 months ago, it would bother me, but I've come to realization this thing is way bigger than I care to know, and it's a good thing at this point. But it's also everybody has access to me way too close. If you don't know, I still run all of our social media, and I do a lot of our customer service and everything too. And people don't realize that they're talking to me, which is
Yeah.
pretty funny. Of like because I'm just so connected at all times. And that's why I think we've got to where we're at is because we've been so connected and transparent and just we really care about the customer and the feedback and the bottles on your shelf. It takes a lot to earn shelf placements at stores. It
Yeah.
takes a
Yeah.
lot to earn a place on a consumer's bar. And that's one thing that I didn't realize that, customers spending $80 to $100, that's different to some, but some people that's their one bottle a month, and if we're able to earn that, it means more to me
Yep.
than you'll ever know. And I try to actually let people know that it means a lot. Like it really truly does.
And you made an interesting point there because a lot of folks don't realize when they walk into their local liquor store or wherever it is, their Costco, well, maybe not Costco, but even like if you go into Kroger or if you go into just your local just liquor store, it takes a lot to get moved up from the bottom, very bottom shelf of that. If you got 5 or 6 rows and you got a whole row of two sides, that's you got all the bottom shelf stuff. I mean, there's a lot that goes into moving up to the middle, to the top, to eye level, to whatever. There's a lot that goes into that, um, and that
Oh
pay.
yeah, there's
That's
large checks that are written too
there's yes, one hundred
that I don't
percent.
write.
Oh, right, exactly, and it takes like a lot of people don't realize what that is, and like when you see those, it just takes. I mean, it takes a lot of hard work, a lot of effort, and basically just getting the brand out there and growing it and getting that recognition to get in the forefront, where people can
so
get their
so
first eyes on it.
that was one of the growing challenges. And we still, even though we're a growing brand, getting
Hmm.
one, you have to get distributors' attention. If you're in a big
Right.
distributor's book, they don't know you exist, but they have so
Right.
much turnover, which is fine. It's everybody's a business.
Right.
You capture that, then you have to go to the store, and you know how many store owners have come to us. We have pretty good social media and pretty good following. They'll get mad at us, like it's not moving. I'm like, you don't even have an Instagram account. I can't help you move your product, but it's
Right.
it's interesting that too. But yeah, I agree. I mean, store owners will bring you in, and
Hmm.
if you sit, I know certain states we won't go into because I just don't think the brand will do what we want it to do, and
Yep.
you'll just sit there and you'll get DQ'd, and the minute you get DQ'd, you're done, and it's a death spiral. It just
Yep.
that's where it's the last thing you want to do. So myself and Adam and Patrick, we're still out in stores. We're still talking to store owners. We have a whole sales team, but we're listening. We're understanding it's working. We're the brand that's now talking stores out of some things, and I hate to admit that. Of like, we'll talk about single barrels. We have a qualification for a single barrel is one. Do you have a social media account? Well, no. Okay, probably shouldn't do this. Do you have a picking team? No, you probably shouldn't do this. So we've had store owners that will start with a quarter barrel that will sell. They'll graduate to a half barrel. It will sell, and they'll probably stick with a half barrel. If they don't have a way of means to move that barrel, the last thing I ever want to do is make a store owner very upset that they just spent 10, 15, $20,000 on a barrel and it sits there. That's locking up their inventory. We want to help them move it. So we're very strategic about where we put barrels, who we work with, how close they are to each other. In our barrel picking days, it wasn't even our money. We knew it would sell, but we would get so mad. Like, this is the only barrel coming in the area. Then all of a sudden, 10 stores within a 10-mile radius, all of the same barrel. We don't do that. We make
Right.
sure our barrels become a destination for people. We post it on social media. We do a lot of different things. So we really try to help those store owners pull through. And it
Hmm.
definitely does work when you care at a store level as a growing brand, because it does create kind of a destination for a lot of things, which is cool.
I love that because that, to me, that's kind of that smart process because you can see it like, oh, everyone's got a such and such store pick now, which is great, but also like I'm not gonna go buy everyone's store pick. But if you're the only one in Lexington where Brandon and I are based, probably gonna go there because if that's the only option, that's where I'm gonna go. I want to try it. I want to enjoy it and see what it is. So I love to see that thought process because that's something I don't.
We haven't done many barrels in Kentucky yet. I think they're just starting to ramp up. Kroger just did a couple.
Well,
Lex has been hard for us. I was in Lexington last week.
I was
But
going to
it's
say,
starting to come. I can feel it.
I was going to say, like, one of the buzz that I've been hearing is, Kroger did. I know one of the Krogers here in town did at least, at least a barrel or whatever it was, and a liquor barn here in Lexington. Liquor Barn did one
we're
too.
starting to get out there. I mean, we're
and they're listen, and
it's starting to move.
We've been on barrel picks with the main guy from Liquor Barn who does their barrel picks and selections, and I mean, there's some buzz about it, especially about the bee's knees, especially. So that's one that I'm excited to try.
He's a very good individual.
So. Yeah.
Well, let's talk finishing then. Let's get into it.
All right. First, we got one more pour, and then we'll talk all those fun finishes. Let's pour the rye, and we'll talk about all the other things you do. This is also the highest proof we're going to have tonight, 101, a 95.5 out of MGP. I'm curious, though, because you said this is going to change a little bit. So 95.5 out of MGP, what can you tell us about this one and what's happening down the road?
So aged here in Atlanta, all of our MGP. So that's almost an all 8-year-old product. $59.99 on the shelf. We use.
Wait, you
MGP.
said 8 years, $59.99.
Yeah, I think the side says minimum was 6, but most of our stuff's got so old. It's 8-year product. Proof down to we call cocktail strength.
I'm glad I kept this bottle, Brandon. Sorry.
I love our rye. Our rye's our most awarded product. We've won multiple double golds. We only do San Francisco and New York. We've had to do some more this year. But our rye is fun. Rye is a very hard sell, no matter what market you're in, especially people see MGP. But it's done very well for us. But MGP aged in the South is just a completely different animal, and we just don't rush our ryes out. So they're small batches. A lot of times they're just 4, 5-barrel blends that really, and we proof them so slow. Sometimes it's like a month to proof them down, and they're just delicious MGP rye. That's all I can say about them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, 95.5 is right up our alley.
Yeah. But yeah, what's changing is I think it's going to become a Kentucky product. We want to be Kentucky through and through. Kentucky rye has never really been something that we were very, very excited about. We've tried a lot of different mash bills, tried a lot of different things. But I think we're going to officially make the change. It might take a little bit of time. I think the MGP rye is going to become more of our finishing stuff that we deal with. We have a lot of MGP rye. Old stuff, 9 to 13 and a half years old. So not moving away from GP rye, but you might see a Kentucky rye come out at maybe a little lower price point, maybe in that $40 price point, 6-year-old stuff.
I know a guy that makes some 95.5 in Kentucky, and you bought from him for a little while, so I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And it's pretty good.
Just saying.
Yeah, that's what we're looking at. Yeah, we are looking at more cocktail programs and just listening to bartenders and listening to buyers. And an MGP rye, I can tell you it's a 14-year-old rye in there. If I'm not age stated, it's $60. You know, when you're up with the Bullets of the world that are 10, 12 years old and they're $60 too, that's different, but the consumer thinks different on the shelf. So we will probably make it this way we're Kentucky clear across the board for our core. I'm just looking at a few different more sources before we pull that trigger, but it'll probably be, if it does, it'll be late fall, early winter. We'll release a new rye, let this one kind of clear out and do its thing. But pretty excited where ryes are headed. We've been watching some of these barrels for the past 2 years, and I love it too. Don't get me wrong.
We love, man. I'm telling you,
they've been sitting in our warehouse. They've been sitting in our warehouse for 2 years, so they have the Atlanta funk on them. We have a lot of them, so we'll see what happens. I'm excited about it. Love MGP. It's just the MGP rye. It's one of those things that's so hard to crack through, regardless of how many awards you win and everything else. And it's, tomorrow MGP could announce they're putting out their own rye. They just announced their own bourbon. So
Yep.
It's one thing we
They
don't
did
really
announce
want to
chapter
rely
one,
on.
so it's
We did. They did announce
and
chapter
then-
1. Yeah.
Yeah, which is awesome. I think that's great, but it's one of those things too.
I've been
where
waiting
there's
on
a
that,
lot
but
of
yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens, and we'll just use our higher age dated stuff, and we have some killer 10-year rye now. That's all early Kelvin barrels. So these were MGP filled, Kelvin aged, and they're special. I have some 10-year Jefferson's rye that would the funkiest things you've ever had, but they're so much fun. Also Kelvin barrels. So playing around, but I think a lot of our rye stuff will carry age statements. Anything finished will carry an age statement. Just excited where our rye's headed, which we just had the Afterswarm rye land. We did Takai rye. I have a lot of other rye projects. Our Double Oak rye just had a Boo rye that was all char 5, which is like super malty, which is really cool. So I love rye, but since we're talking core at our price point at $59.99, usually it doesn't really move. And it's not something we want to go invest heavily in.
it should.
It should, but the consumer. Honestly,
I know.
The consumer's
We
gonna
yell
go
at
grab
them
their-
all the time to do
they're
it.
gonna
Just
grab-
go buy it.
Yeah, but your consumer at 1:00 on a Thursday is going to grab their bullet rye and leave. That's just 1,000% what it is. I see it almost every other day.
I mean,
Should-
as a lover of Bullet Rye, yes, I understand. But I'm also, as long as we've been doing this, like I like to venture out. Like I like to try to do things. Of course, me as a personality, everybody's going right. I'm going left. You know what I mean? So it's like, all right, I'm going to try something different. I want to try something new. And I think everybody should do that.
Yeah.
Bullet Rye is always going to be there. You can get it, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's just like Bud Light, Coors Light, Miller Light, whatever. Like, go try something. Go try something new, something that's more regional, more local. I've always been that type of
Yeah,
personality.
we're looking at a big 7-year age statement. I'll give that. I think if our rye does come back out, I'll have a big 7 on the middle. So, it should be pretty good. I'm excited about where it's headed.
Well,
Tell me about
it's
the bee's
delicious.
knees. Tell me about the bee's knees.
Oh, no, I'm kidding.
Because
Well, and
that's
we got a
the mo-
Sapquatch, which I love the name, by the way.
I agree with that too. Yes,
so the
that
bee's
one.
knees was, I loved Belle Mead's honey. I'll be 1,000% honest with you. I thought it was so fun.
That is a good one. That is a good one.
Yeah, the bees took a mind of its own. So, a lot of people are doing honey finishing nowadays. It's really fun. It's our environment that allows us to do a lot of different things. We barrel age honey. We use local honey in every single state that we get from. So Kentucky has its own, Tennessee has its own. We just barrel age those things, dump them out, let them sit in the Atlanta heat for 9 months, and the bee's knees is born. Kelvin barrels, toasted barrels, we're using some barrels. It just took the mind of its own where it just is a fun gateway to bourbon that it's still going to be spirit first because we don't use a lot of honey. And it's just a fun overall product for us to do, and it keeps getting better and better. We filled 230 barrels already this year, so it'll be ready in the fall. But has a lot of 8, 9, 10-year-old stuff, and it'll be the oldest product we've ever put out, just because where whiskey's at right now in the source market, we're able to do that, which is really cool. So we'll see what happens.
wait for that.
They're sitting there in the back of the warehouse, already cooking and sweating, and honey's coming out of them. So it's pretty cool.
I can't wait for that
Well,
next fall in the winter because that's going to make a awesome old fashioned.
It does.
Yeah.
So we have a rye version called the Afterswarm, which is really it's on the shelves in Kentucky. It's killer. It's
What? I've not seen that.
It's there.
They ain't even heard of it.
It's been slow rollout. So yeah, we had a massive release on Friday on it online. We just sold 1,000 bottles in 2 hours and sold out online of it
Holy
on
shit.
Friday.
That's awesome.
So it's still floating around. We're with Kentucky Eagle, so whatever store you shop at, tell them to order it because I know it's still sitting in their warehouse.
Yeah.
But it's the rye
Are
version.
those private store picks on those barrels or no?
No.
Okay.
No,
They're
it's
just-
a blend. It's Georgia
Okay,
honey, so I only did one blend of it.
Yeah.
I like the rye version better than the bourbon. To be 1,000% honest with you, bourbon's fun.
Spice, sweet.
Bourbon and honey are very hard to work with. Yes, but the rye honey is fantastic. So go find a bottle.
We will find
grab
that
it,
one.
and it'll blow your mind because there's a lot of 13-year-old MGP in there. It's got some serious age statements on it. with a blend. It's fantastic. But bees is bees. It's just
Yep.
it's a bitch to work with. Excuse my language. Honey is
No,
not for the faint of heart. We're covered in it all day long. Bees actually show up in our warehouse.
yeah,
But it's one of those things that's very time intensive. We buy probably the best local honey we can find. I work with some killer, I work with some really good apiaries and beekeepers, and it's not just crap honey. It is true on
yep.
honey. I mean, there's not much left to it after we're done with it. We use it a couple different times. But it's just a fun thing we do, and it allows us to experiment with a lot of different things. And then Sapquatch, it's the same exact thing, but
Great
it's
name.
maple.
Great name.
It's actually a maple syrup company. Their name's Sapquatch, and we use Sapquatch maple syrup. So we said, can we just use the name under bourbon? And they're like, sure. So again, no secrets. I didn't come up with it. We marketed it pretty well, but it's the same thing, same premise, same barrels, just with maple. It's my favorite thing to just large cube, sap, a cherry, a little bit of dried orange. It is the perfect old fashioned. You're not adding any more to it. And maple syrup's fun to work with, and those are kind of my two babies. Sap will come back out April. We just ran a 2,000 case blend of it. But why sap is a little different, the base is a little bit different. So we actually use toasted maple sugar spirals as the base. So those go into a tank. They kind of finish off the base of the liquid, and then we add all the maple syrup barrels into it. So it's pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah. No, it's a fun one. You guys will see it up there. That we've laid down quite a bit. We've done a bunch of single barrels of it. We had a barrel at KBF last year, which was pretty cool. Sold out pretty much immediately there too. But goal is to make these things bigger so they sit on the shelves more than a week.
Are you guys going to be at KBF this year?
We are, yeah. Well, the same. We were there last year. We had a fight in the booth and everything else. So it was fun. But yeah, we will definitely be there.
How did we miss that?
How did we miss the fight?
We were at we were at the Whiskey House tent. So we weren't down at the craft area. We were at the Whiskey House, like the 2-story chalet. So since we aren't a Kentucky brand and we distill there, we had a couple hours during each day where we could sell, and it was crazy. We were sold out. We were sold out by the second day.
Oh wow!
I got some tricks. We had a hazmat that people went nuts over, but I have some tricks up my sleeve for. I think we're gonna launch BGs at KBF this year.
Nice. I was going to ask you if you could say what anything kind of cool coming out, or if you could talk about on air. If not, we could talk offline. But it's cool.
No. I mean, I think the biggest thing I'm getting into I don't want to call it ready to pour space because we're not adding anything, but we have a bunch of former High West old fashioned barrels that I've put a Boo Rye into. I'm really excited about.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
I have my own Manhattan project going on right now with some vermouth barrels. I'm not adding any of these; they're just bases for like cocktails moving forward. Really excited about where that's heading. I have an orange wine finish that we just dumped in the tank yesterday. Should launch late July or late May, early June. Should be pretty cool. It's gonna be like 98 proof, kind of ready to pour cocktail base for the summer. Excited about. I have a bunch of French oak. French oak will be part of a double oak series in the fall. Really excited about those. That's a high rye mash bill. It's Bardstown. It'll be 8-year. I'm doing a cool collab with a pretty large podcaster. I'm pretty excited about. They have their own brand. I'm sure you can guess who that is. There's a bunch of stuff going on right now. Just kind of staying in our lane. We're not getting too crazy, stuff. I mean, I think the hardest part for us is stuff we laid down in cigar batch. We're known for our cigar batches. That will come back out in the fall too. We're fortunate enough to be in a buying pattern. We can get really good whiskey for a really fair price, but we're not going too crazy with what we're buying. We're still being very strategic, making sure that our single barrel program is fed. I think most of our single barrels will be all 10-year plus. And if you guys don't know how we price at $10 per year. So if it's a 10-year-old MGP or Kentucky, it's gonna be $99 on the shelf. If it's 12 years, it's gonna be $119. Like that's just how we price. So you're gonna see some really, really, really cool.
You just made Brandon very happy.
John, what have I been saying for years? if it's
we've talked that inflation
it's
has gone up a
standard.
little bit there for a minute, but
I know, but before
standard's
that,
10.
the standard is $10 per year, and if I see an 8-year-old bourbon on the shelf for $200,
Well,
sorry,
you're
it's
still
hard to
gonna
pass
see
for me.
it. I'm just saying it's
I know,
yeah, it's
but
just
$10 a year is the base on, yeah, for me. Anyway.
that's the old Willet model. So that's
Yep.
how Druitt Willet used to price and everything else too, and we've stuck to that. You know, could we price more? Yeah, but we're not going to. We've
Right.
made a lot of other brands max. We're all using. Most of us are using the same barrels, and all of a sudden, Short Barrel will show up at market, and that same bottle that might be $150 from somewhere else is now 89 or 99 on the shelf. So, but it's life.
Well, and you guys are making some really good stuff. I love the price points because Brandon and I talk about this a lot. I mean, he just mentioned it. You see an 8-year on the shelf for 150, and you're like, okay, it better knock my socks off, literally.
Right.
Like, it better do something. But these ones are approachable. You get them in at the 40, you're able to go up to the 100 or something for the bee's knees and different things like that because they've enjoyed you at this price and go, I trust you now. I want to see what you can do up here. And I love that. And I'm curious, for folks that want to come visit you, and also where can they find you? Because I believe you're working on, obviously the goal is to expand into more states, strategically and so forth. So where can folks find you, and can they come visit you?
Yeah, so we're in 5 states: Georgia, Tennessee, Kentucky, Florida, Texas, soon to be Missouri, Alabama, and South Carolina, and that's probably it for a little while on our side. Fortunate with my background, DTC background, we ship to 47 states via Texas, so we have major online drops. I try to do like every 6 weeks. If you can't find Short Barrel on shelves, we try to release something every 6 to 8 weeks on our website. They go very quickly. We said we sold 1,000 bottles in 2 hours on Friday, so it's been crazy. And then yes, you can come see us in Atlanta, and we have a full-on tasting room. We're not open on weekends yet. We're adding another 5,000 square feet for production that will be air conditioning, so we will have a tasting room hopefully in July, August, that we'll start having some weekend hours to see what those look like. But one thing we haven't talked about, you've heard our story, we're still a 12-person team, sales, logistics, operations, everything. So we might be growing like quickly. We are hiring more salespeople, but there's literally 4 of us, including me, in the warehouse every day, touching every single bottle, every single case, and those are upwards of 30-some thousand cases now going out. So we are fully in it, and that's one thing we're very prideful of. But I think when you come see us, you're like, this is crazy, the amount of stuff you guys do on a day-to-day basis here, and it's pretty magical to watch it happen.
You wear a lot of hats.
I do have a lot of really fun hats. They're nice, but no, it's kind of who I am. I've been working. I mean, you know where we grew up in Ohio Valley. If you're cutting grass and you're 12 and everything else, and
Yeah.
just kind of who I am. I really enjoy it. It doesn't feel like work. Some days it does, but it's really interesting of how we built this thing, and I'm super, super proud of where we're at.
No, I'm loving it, Brandon. I'm going to give you the floor for any last questions.
I'm good. Like, I have really enjoyed all 3 of the bottles that we've had. I'm excited to try the older age stated ones, especially the bee's knees and the Sapquatch, and more to come. I'm excited about it. So I think you
And
guys
the
are
after
doing.
s'more.
Yeah,
I
have your address. I'll make sure. I have your address. I'll make sure you guys get some bottles of that stuff. I'd love for you guys to try them and have some fun with it.
Thank you.
It's just such a unique, polarizing pour.
Because
I'll
we
send
would
some of
like
our
to do.
Takai down too.
Yeah, because what we would do is that we would do like a side by side review on our channel and just review them, and we would like to do that. But again, I would just like to try them personally. But if we can do that, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, the legs on the glasses have just been impressive. I mean, like.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, guys, and I know you're not just
like it's still.
No, we're not bullshitting.
It's still there.
Yeah.
Like,
I know.
that happening?
I did my research on you guys. You guys will tell me if you don't like something, and that's a good thing. I appreciate that.
Especially that one.
Made it.
No, that's fine. I honestly do more. Honestly, do more of that. As a, I'm learning. Like I said, I've only been doing this for 2.5 years, 3 years. I'm learning. We're all learning. Like,
Yeah.
if I understand if the Beam family and the Russell family, they get criticism. They're like, yeah, whatever. But if you are a small growing brand and people don't like your stuff, listen to them. Ask them why. Like, sometimes it can be as simple as like the bee's knees. Sometimes it can be 1,000 honest with you. People are like, I don't taste any honey, and then I have to realize it's all sitting on the bottom. You have to actually shake the bottles to get the honey off the bottom. They're like,
Correct.
holy shit, that's delicious. And I'm like, because
Yeah.
those are things that I forget about. Like, our double oaks. When you work with double oak, you can have a lot of barrel char and barrel fat sitting on the bottom, and a lot of that's flavor. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't taste like it. And I'm like, you have to mix it up. So it's really interesting. So just know small brands, we might not say anything. Or all brands might not say anything, but we're all listening. We're all learning. We're all trying to figure it out. And, my big thing is that people are still drinking bourbon. We're all still winning, and we're in together. I mean, we're in for a very interesting time. The stuff that these brands shutting down and all the stuff at foreclosure, we're nowhere near where this market's heading. And it's okay. A lot of people are still drinking bourbon. People are still coming to Kentucky. And the last thing I'll say is too many people got in bourbon for the wrong thing. And it's not necessarily like brands. It's too many people that thought they were going to get rich overnight, and these hedge funds that bought barrels, and these other, you see them on Facebook, oh, buy a barrel of whiskey for $2,500 and hold it. People fell for that stuff. Not that there's nothing wrong with it. You're never going to get a return on a $2,500 barrel of whiskey. It's not going to exist. So some people got in for the wrong reasons, and I think we all lost sight of what whiskey was, and it's all coming back to what whiskey was like when we were barrel picking for 4 years. This is what it was like, and people forget that, and so I'm excited about where the market's going. I'm pretty bullish, but it's going to be a very bumpy and shaky road. I think you guys are going to be talking about a lot of different brands and things shutting down and finishings that why is Four Roses doing a honey finish? Like, that's happening. It's just like all these things. It's like, it's pretty cool to watch all these legacies that are chasing craft, or we've been chasing them down for I don't know how long.
Exactly. Very well
Absolutely.
said. I agree with you 100%. Like I said, I pride myself on this show to, be transparent, be honest about, reviews and what I feel about the whiskey tastings of what we got. But, again, like you mentioned earlier, like the whiskey community is such a good, strong networking. It's a great community. Like you said, you can meet people really quick, make lifelong friends, whatever it is. So I encourage everybody out there to do that. If you are just into, like you yourself, if you are just getting into bourbon and whiskey, join your local, your bourbon clubs or whiskey clubs, whatever it is, through social media. Because I will say this without, and I'll die on this hill. The bourbon and whiskey community is the best community to be a part of because of that just camaraderie, and it's just like, no, everybody cares. Nobody really, it's not that, yeah, it's competitive to a point, but it's not like, it's not cutthroat, backstabbing, whatever. Everybody wants everybody to do good, do well, sell well, and then drink well. You know what I mean? So that's just from my experience of it. And just the networking part of it has just been, it's just been awesome. So, and I can speak from what John and I have done in just the last 3 or 4 years. Like, it's just, it's just, we went from nothing to, now we're growing just our channel. So, but we love to see it.
Yeah, that's super cool. Yeah.
Yep.
No, I just even echo that. Brands, like I said, none of us, unless it's happening and I don't hear it, no brands hating on each other too. We're all working. We're all talking.
Exactly.
We're all talking to each other. What's working? What's not working? What's the best distributors in states? Like, I think the world will be very interested in is how many brands talk to each other on a daily basis and struggles and comparing prices and comparing notes. Like, there's a lot of us talking and all trying to win together, and it's really cool to even watch it from the brand side, not necessarily the nerd side is awesome.
Right. Right. Yeah.
It's just not Facebook. It's Reddit. It's YouTube. It's things like this. Like, the fact that the subculture of whiskey has turned into what it is. It's no longer just a Facebook group like it used to be. Is mind blowing to me. Like, we're building a studio in our new spot so we can start doing more videos. So it's how much video and everything means to us too.
Road trip, John. Road trip.
Come on down. We'd love to have you guys.
I know some people down there. Apparently, I know people everywhere somehow, some way. I don't know.
We can do a barrel. We can do a we can do a barrel. We can toss it online and ship it to 47 states. That's easy.
Might have to be a beer barrel finish. Just saying.
I have some stout. I have some stout barrels.
Yeah, I could do that. I could do stout. Yeah, I can do that.
Because see, you hated it and then you love it. But no, we've loved this, Clinton. Man, it's so fun to see what you've done, and just seeing where you're headed. And man, thanks for being transparent with us and sharing some good pours, man. I can't wait to see what's next.
Absolutely.
Cheers, guys. Appreciate you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.